We're going to tie a fly today or tonight, that we've learned to tie recently with Enrico Puglisi's new brushes. All available through us. We've got about every color there is. And this fly we're going to tie today, as we're coming into the winter down here, we're going to be tying redfish flies. The bait fish will be leaving for the winter, and we'll start transitioning to crab and shrimp patterns. So this is a real cool little fly. It's got a lot of detail. It looks kind of complicated, but it really isn't. It's really not bad. As I turn it around here, you can see it's got some lead eyes. He's got some of Enrico's claws there. He's got his little egg sac, some eyes sticking out the back, and it's a nice merkin style, or merkin look, but without all that staged tying. There's a little weed guard here, and yeah, that's about it. Okay, let's tie it. 2/0 hook. We like the gap. We like how sharp they are right out of the box. I just like that bend. Just a good hook. Nice and level on the vise. I really like this vise. It's a Peak PRVG2 vise. It has great jaws. Probably tied at least 10,000 flies in this pair of jaws. Haven't changed them. Some other things with Puglisi, tying with these types of materials, have some Velcro around. I have it here and here. A lot of people like to have a ruler so they can keep things even. This thing's 6 inches across, a 6-inch square on this base, so you can see I hashed it out. So, otherwise, yeah, let's tie this fly. I'm going to start off with this, this is 210 denier flat wax Danville's chartreuse. And we'll start it off. Put a little spin here. First thing I'm going to do is tie in my lead eye. And this is something kind of different than a lot of people do, is we're going to be switching threads just a couple times throughout this fly. It's not like it's a big deal, but make sure that guy's on there. And that part's done. There's the eye. Yes, I cheat. I use a whip finisher. It's just faster for me. Alright. Make sure that eye's on there nice and straight, mostly. And we'll hit it with our glue. Alright, there it is. Go fish it for bonita or mackerel. Next I'm going to go to, this is monofilament thread, the .004, the really fine stuff. You will break it. It's not the end of the world when you break it, though. I hear a chihuahua. I'm going to go nice and far back down into the hook bend here. And the first thing we're going to tie on is the egg sac. Doing that, I'm going to use this as the 1/2-inch tarantula, hairy legs tarantula brush. What's it called here? Yes, tarantula hairy legs brush, 1/2-inch. This is the Wild Hot Orange. I always have a pair of scissors that I do not care about for cutting this type of stuff. This is Enrico's newest material. It's just like his dub brush. It has some rubber legs added into it. It comes in 1/2-inch and 1-inch. It's really neat. I've been playing with it for a while now. But let's see. Let's trim that a little bit more. I'll tie this into the back here. Bring my thread up a little bit. And like anything palmering, we're gonna do a wrap, pull everything back. Do a wrap, pull everything back. Wrap, pull everything back. About 4 wraps. I'll bring it to the top here and lock it off. You can do this with any of the other, streamer. He has normal streamer brushes that are just orange. I like the the legs because it gives it all kinds of stuff going on in the water. Alright, I'll trim these out a little bit. Drop this stuff. And we're good, there's the egg sack. Really simple. Let's see, next we'll tie his claws on. You can do a few different things for claws. You can tie knots and silky fibers, stuff like that. These are Enrico's little pre-made claws. See? They're neat. Do they help? We don't know. But they look cool, so we'll use them. We'll get this on. Get them about the same length. Let's see what's here. Yeah, it's close. And I'll tie these on just like I would an eye or something like that. I'll just figure them on there. They'll lay the way we want them to lay after a bit. Okay. There's that part. I'll turn them over. And there's other eyes on it. These are just some monofilament eyes or bead eyes, whatever you want to call them. I'm going to get them so they come just past the bend in the hook. So the size is really all determined on the size hook you use. Like most fly tires, I start out with everything all organized, and within, I don't know, a minute it looks like a bomb's hit it. Nice and flat. Right there. I'll tie them on at the same time. A few loose wraps to get them started, then I'll make my adjustments with them. One on either side of the hook here. Now as I start tying these together, they'll spread out the way we want them to. There we go. You can see as I pull now, they'll start to spread out. It's really, really can be nice looking. There we are. We kind of, you can starting to see the crab already. And of course, our dogs that are beaten and starved, we never feed them. They just must constantly eat. This one's eating a philodendron right now. All right. Next, this is just some silky fiber 3D blend from Enrico Puglisi, and I'm just going to put a little bit over the back to cover that orange up. It's not, you don't have to do it, but I do. A nice small little hank, and this will come in handy because this is something else with Puglisi fibers, is always taper the fibers. It just makes for less cutting to have to do in the end. So I'll taper the fibers. Top, and I'll fold that back over itself. Okay. Next comes the easy part. Now we're gonna make it into a crab body. So once again, here's this. This is the EP Crustaceous brush with micro legs, and this is in the brown color. Has 3 or 4 different tones in it. It's really neat. A cattail. But, first thing I'll do here is take a good little, cat brush I like, or a comb, or stiff toothbrush, I'll just brush the fibers out real quick, make them all nice and full. Oop. Alright, I'm going to tie this in. A little stem in. And just like anything on earth, that mover. I'm going to start palmering this up. Don't worry about it kind of matting together, because we'll use our bodkin and kind of pull it all out in the end. What I want to do is I want to pack this stuff in here pretty tight. And you can see from brushing it in the beginning, it really makes all the fibers splay out really nicely. Alright, we're going to go right to behind the eye, just like that. And I know it looks somewhat like a Muppet right now, but it won't for long. Right behind the eye. Find out where I tied the middle there. Get it locked off. And trim. Now that I've cut my thread off, I'm glad this is a practice run because I don't like this stuff right. Alright, let's get this going in here again. That happened. It's not the first time, it's not the last time. Starting to like a fly again. Alright, now that that's all tied in, we can finish it. You'll notice there's no weed guard on it. There's not yet, we can say, because we're going to put a weed guard on it at the end. But this is a little bit of a fly. Bodkin, when we've wrapped those layers, they've really wrapped on top of each other. A lot of them we can try and pull them out as we're wrapping as much as possible, but it just doesn't always work. So go in there with your bodkin and just tease it a little bit. And you can see without much effort it really starts getting full. That's not what 100% what we want. Okay. You're funny looking like that. Now, we want to make it that nice crab coin look there. So, we'll make, of course, our first cut across the top. There it is. Nice cut across the bottom. And then okay, now we'll start turning it into a crab with our little circular cuts. Try not to cut off the claws. Things work so hard to tie in. And take your time with trimming this stuff. I guess I'll use my basket. You can always take more off It gets really tough to put it back on. So trim it kind of big, and it's not always a bad idea even leave it big before you go fishing. Take a pair of scissors out with you. Don't take your good ones. Actually, never mind, we gotta sell good ones, so take your good ones. And you never know what size bait the fish are going to be eating. I do it with my bait fish, and take a bigger bait fish out, and if they're hitting on little glass minnows, you get out there and you've got some giant bait fish, just a quick trim and you've essentially matched the hatch. Right. Wild ones that are hanging out up here. There we go. So we're starting to look like we have a crab now. The last thing we really need to do is put the weed guard on. This is no secret, no trick. Everybody uses this 20-pound hard mono from Mason, or Portland, or whoever you want to use. First thing to do, get your green going again. We're right off the top, right across the back of the hook eye. We'll snip. I'm going to bite my mono so I get a little crease there, or you can use pliers. And we'll loop it over. Okay, so I'm going to do 4 or 5 loose wraps. I'm going to pull that straight down and start tying it. There it is. Now, of course, we don't really want our weed guard pointing back so much, so I'm going to check my distance here, make my cut on the weed guard, pretty good. And now I'll just start wrapping behind the weed guard, and that'll just naturally pull them forward. There. And do a quick little whip finish. Alright, there it is. There's our little crab, ready to go swim around and hopefully get eaten by redfish. If you really like, you can take some goop or something, you can stick a rattle right on his back. You don't need to tie it in. Rattle, yes, no, not too sure. Here in Florida, we have really clear water oftentimes. Don't think we need it. Up in Louisiana, areas like that where the water's darker, maybe the sound helps. But there is a little crab fly tied with Eureka patterns, a little spawning crab. Thanks.